Hello everyone, how are you? Oh my goodness, my lighting. Let's see if I can make this a little better. I don't know. I'm trying my ring light because it's dark here, but I don't know if that works. I don't know. Let me see if I can, does this help if I do? Oh, now I look like I'm totally in the dark. All right, so we'll just go with that. I hope everyone can see me. Hello, this is episode number 67 of the TERRAN Lamp Show. Thank you so much for joining me. We are here every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time to share a story. This show is about positivity. This show is about love. If you have a story, and everyone does, make sure you get a hold of me. I would love to have you here on the show. If you know someone who has a story, and I know you do as well, make sure you get a hold of me with their information. Connect us through DMs, through whatever channel. If you have my cell phone, definitely through text message, through private message on Instagram. Make sure you're connecting to me. I would love to have you on the show. We're booking guests into 2022. This show is all by word of mouth and all by volunteer. So I need you to help me get people on the show. And I want to hear their stories, and the world needs to hear their stories. Make sure, if you haven't had a chance to, that you are subscribing to our YouTube channel, the TERRAN Lamp Show, or TERRAN Lamp, and then the podcast, Apple Podcast, the TERRAN Lamp Show. Make sure you're checking us out on IGTV and liking the profile to get future episodes of the TERRAN Lamp Show. We are on episode number 67. So I'm going to bring my guest in here in a minute, but I wanted to let you know a couple of quick housekeeping issues. If for whatever reason we get disconnected, we will be back. We are here 7:30 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time for the TERRAN Lamp Show, so we will be back. The second thing I want to let you know is I'm going to put in the comments section, I'm going to put my Cash App and my Venmo. And I don't know if you get a chance to check out prior episodes, but the reason being is because I have started to take offerings and contributions for paying off bills for cancer and heart disease patients. I've done that in the past on my own, and just decided I would continue that as we do the show. And so it's all, again, good old fashioned me. It's not an official 501c3. It's not a GoFundMe. It's not any of that. It's good old fashioned me taking your givings out of your own heart. And then what I'll be doing with those is when the opportunity presents itself, probably a lot when I go to my own cancer and heart disease heart disease appointment, I will be paying off bills for cancer and heart disease patients. So I've gotten to know a lot of the people there at the local hospitals here where I am, and I've done that in the past, and I just really enjoy the organicness of being able to go right in, take the contributions that we've been giving, and put them right towards a patient. So I'm going to put in the comments section right now my Cash App. And again, good old fashioned me, nothing fancy, nothing, like I said, no 501c3 or anything like that. It's just kind of your good faith and my faith, and yeah. Oh, my Venmo. I think my Venmo's T-Lamp. Yeah, I'm gonna go with T-Lamp. I don't think it's T-Lamp 7. I don't think. Yeah. So Cash App T-Lamp 7, Venmo T-Lamp. If you have it in your heart and would like to contribute, that's how you can contribute. So let me bring on my guest. I hope I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying it right. Nafrisha. Hopefully, am I saying it right?
I missed it. What, how did you pronounce it?
Nafrisha?
Nafrisha, yeah.
I got it right. All right.
Yeah.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good. I don't know what's going on with my lighting. Can you see, do I look like I'm in a haze or?
No, you look great.
Okay, great. I couldn't tell. It's like getting darker here earlier in Chicago. So it's between the dark and the light here. I just wanted to make sure you could see me and everybody can see me. You look great. I can see you. How was your day?
My day has been nice. Took it relatively easy today.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah.
It feels like I just got back from traveling. I was actually in California this weekend or week, and I feel like it feels like a Monday for me, but it's officially a Tuesday. So I was letting viewers know, housekeeping wise, if something happens for whatever reason, the internet devils get a hold of us, we will be back. And yeah, and I was also letting them know, for those who are just tuning in, I put my Cash App on my Venmo because I've started to take contributions for cancer and heart disease patients, in which I'll be going in and paying off their bills. And this is episode number 67 of the TERRAN Lamp Show. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting, and it's amazing what you're doing for cancer and heart disease patients.
Thank you very, very much. I truly appreciate it, because I wasn't sure what, it's a long story, but I wasn't sure what to do. And I wanted to do it very organically. I wanted to, do that, be able to just go there and do it without a lot of, hoopla around it per se. But let's get started. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Well, my journey, it's like, gosh, where do I start? Long life story short, I am a business, life, and career coach based in Los Angeles. And I also have two communities specifically for women of color. I have the Ambitious Women of Color Meetup Group, and I also have the Ambitious Women of Color Association, which is more of a business and professional networking community. And that is kind of like what I'm about. And how I got here. I actually spent most of my adult career working for Starbucks Coffee Company. I was in management for almost a decade. Left that to start my own business, teaching cooking lessons, and then that turned into chefing, and I was chefing for 5 years. And then that turned into coaching, and then starting these two communities. And I feel like that kind of sums up my story a little bit.
So it sounds like you've had a journey, right? So tell us, like, I guess along that journey, like, what would you think? Because I can see the pattern, right? But were what made you think, I want to kind of pop out of here and do this? I want to kind of pop out of here and do this, and get you to kind of where you landed. Like, what was your thought process, or what was some of the things that may have pushed you or pulled you in one direction or the other?
That's a really great question. So teaching cooking lessons actually was like a download from the universe right after I graduated from college. And I was like thinking, what do I want to do with my life? And the thoughts like came to me. Well, I love to teach people how to do things, and I love to cook. So why don't I teach people how to cook? So that's where the business idea came from. Okay. But then the recession hit, and I believed that people weren't going to be willing to invest in anything because, it was kind of a rough time. And so I decided to just focus on my day job, and did that for, again, almost a decade before I decided to make the jump. And then once I made the jump, I was teaching cooking lessons, but more consistently, people were reaching out to me and asking if I would just cook for them. And I'm like, well, you're paying me, so okay. So I just started doing it. And I never, like, I honestly have said, like, I don't ever want to become a chef, but I also knew that getting more experience, not only was paying me, but also it was going to help me to be a better cooking lesson instructor, because I would have all of this experience. Okay. And so that's kind of what led to chefing. And then most of the clients that I would take on had like dietary restrictions. And so I kind of created this very like healthy and delicious cuisine. And I also was just really passionate about the fact that, especially communities of color, we have this disadvantage of just not having enough education around how to live and be well. And so I was like, and then I started getting coached. So I was part of this group coaching program, and it changed my life. And I thought, well, gosh, I think this is something I could do. So I started, I got a certification and started coaching. And then, you know, a lot of times, and I mean, we'll probably touch on this, or you've touched on this with your other guests, but a lot of times the universe kind of just guides you where you're supposed to go a little bit or a lot of it. And so, what was that?
Did you fight it?
Oh, no, that is one thing that I have to really pat myself on the back for. You know, I very early on, within the first couple of years of being in business for myself, was kind of just like, I don't know what is going on, but I'm going with the flow on this. And I just trusted, you know, and, you know, obviously I would make choices and things like that, but I also just kind of innately knew that where I am right now is where I'm supposed to be. And whatever the next opportunity shows up for me, I'm going to jump on it and I'm going to take it. And because I'm open to whatever opportunities come to me, I've definitely taken on some that probably weren't a great fit, and that's okay. You live and you learn. But I also have gotten to do some incredible things over the course of the last 7 years that, like, I couldn't make this stuff up sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Like ending up in like an A-list celebrity's kitchen and chefing for them, like just wild things, because I was just open. And so, you know, I started coaching, but then the women that were coming to me were like, that's cool that you know about health and wellness, but like, you started a business. Could you help me start a business? I'm like, yeah, sure. And so then I kind of pivoted more into like life, business, and career coaching. You know, and with my career with Starbucks, I did know a lot about, you know, resumes and hiring and, you know, getting promoted and all of that sort of stuff. So then as I started coaching more, I was networking. And I was part of a chamber of commerce, and I found that like it was just filled with a bunch of really lovely people that were never going to hire me. They were never going to hire me. And so I was like, why don't I create a community, you know, with people I want to actually be around? And so long story short, I started these communities specifically for women of color. And 3 years later, the meetup group was 3 years ago. The association was about 6 months ago. We have 1,500 meetup members, and our association is 45 members strong. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about you know, what do you guys do in the meetup, and what does you know, what officially does the association do? I'm sure one of my questions is that I might have sent to you is, how are you building community, right? So that to me is building community. So tell us.
Yes. Yes, literally building communities.
Person by person. What was
that?
Woman by woman, you're literally building community.
Yeah. And so the Ambitious Women of Color meetup is more of like a social club, if you will. Like there's, we do hikes every month and have happy hours and just like do fun things. But then I also fold in what I'm passionate about, which is personal development. So I do every month to every other month, I'll do some sort of like personal or business or professional development workshop. And then once or twice a month, I also have what's called coffee talks. And these are just so special. Basically, it's up to 6 women, including myself. So 5 women. And I essentially just hold space for them to set intentions and goals and things they want to focus on for the next month or 3 months or whatever. And, you know, it's been, every coffee talk is different because of the different women that come, right? But there's just this magic, you know, of vulnerability, of ambition, of desire to want to heal and grow and expand. And the neat thing about the meetup community is that there's a lot of other meetup communities in Los Angeles for, you know, whether it be Black women or Latina women, Asian women, whatever. And now it's like a lot of these women go to other meetups, and then they spread the word about our meetup, and then our meetup grows. And so, so that's been really cool. Yeah. And then, yeah, it just feels so good. And the association is kind of like a chamber of commerce, except specifically for women of color. And what I really love about the association and what I've kind of built similarly to the meetup group is a culture of understanding that every businesswoman is still a human, you know, and we're what we do is so much connected to who we are. And so our community is very much focused on getting to know each other as we are, because that's how you become memorable. That's how you build genuine connections. And that's how people will be more inspired and apt to refer you and, you know, hire you and support your business. So that's kind of the culture of both of the communities, is like, we're all in this together. And if we all came together, we will change the world.
Awesome. And I like that. I like that you said every businesswoman is human. We're human still, right? Like we're changing the world. But we're human. You know, we are business, we are women, we are in business, we are business women, and we're human. You know, I think for sometimes we leave that out of ourselves. You know, we forget that as well, right? That we're human. It can come in a myriad of ways that we might forget. But I think it's important, even not for the world to think that, of course, but I think it's also important for us to remember that we're human.
Yeah.
Because we will take all this on our shoulders, and we are human. Whether you say only human or, you know, whatever, we are human. And it's good for us to get around, you know, either different or like-minded. In that situation, I feel like I would, you know, connect with women that are like-minded. You can also connect with women that may not be so like-minded, but may still stay behind you to push and encourage you, in front of you to pull you, challenge you, you know, and also have some, like, you know, you mentioned like having a, you know, the female version or the female women of color version of the Chamber of Commerce, you know, that would be a connection, right? Making that connection and networking. Someone says we have feelings no matter what the business is. Exactly. Like, Carolina, exactly. Like, yeah, we have feelings no matter what the business is. We all are still human. And I think that's amazing that, you know, you're bringing a group of women together to, what's the word I want to look for? I want to say like this business side, but I also, like she said, want to say this human side, you know?
Yeah, and it is. It's a hybrid of both.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that when women come to an event for the first time, they're thrown off by in a really good way. They're like, oh, so I can come into this community and like not be perfect and not have it all figured out and just be trying to, you know, figure out how to do it all, and know that some things fall to the wayside and we have to make sacrifices and we have to set boundaries. And I mean, it's okay for me to show up like this. And I'm like, Lord knows I ain't got it all figured out, honey. Yes.
That's what it's okay for them to come and not be perfect.
Exactly.
And we tend to think that we have to be perfect I mean, I've heard these, you know, things about being perfect even when starting a business, right? We think we have to have it all together before we start. And that's not the purpose. What kind of obstacles have been in your way?
Wow, that's a really great question. You know, honestly, the biggest obstacle that I've had to face, and I still continue to face, is limiting beliefs. And, you know, I mean, I'm not unique in saying that I had a very adverse upbringing, and that really played a big part in how I think about myself and how I judge myself and how I push myself. And a lot of that really got unraveled through this process, because it had to. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it. Like I was telling you how it was like I had to have that spirit to go with the flow, because I screwed up a lot and started making so many mistakes where it was like, okay, if I can't set my mistakes aside from who I am as a human, this ain't gonna work. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not going to make it. And so I had to kind of overcome that. I think another challenge, which is a little bit in alignment with the other, is that I had to understand that I am only human, and that I am just one person, and there's only 24 hours in the day, and there's only so much that I can do. And I'm also categorized as what's called like a highly sensitive person. And so I need a little bit more rest than the average bear. I need, I'm, very easily overstimulated. So I have to be mindful of that. And believe it or not, I'm also an introvert. And so there's only so much time that I can spend being around people before I kind of start to shut down and I need to be by myself. I've got so many people that popped in to say, hi, beautiful ladies. I just have to I'm seeing people come in and I just am so happy about it. So I just wanted to take a second to say hi.
Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We were really getting into it there. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us. We are talking to Nafrisha here if you're just joining. And if you're just joining too, while I'm at it, I put my Cash App and my Venmo in the, the comment section. And if you're wondering why, it's because I give back to heart disease and cancer patients. I help pay off bills for heart disease and cancer patients. I am a heart disease and cancer patient myself. I go directly into where I go and directly pay off bills. I've kind of had a lot of questions in my mind about how to do that. And then I officially just settled on the organic old-fashioned way. It's kind of a gift of faith. There's no official 501c3. There's no official bells and whistles and things gonna come at you. It's just good old-fashioned TERRAN going into good old-fashioned paying off a bill. So if you find it in your heart and would like to contribute, that is my Cash App and Venmo. I will keep everyone, however, aware when I do that. I can't tell you exactly who the patient's going to be because there are laws against that. So I will not know myself. But what I do know and can promise you is that I will go in and I will pay off a bill for a heart disease and cancer patient with your contribution to my Cash App and Venmo. So anyway, we were talking about obstacles. And yeah, so if you would like to contribute, that's that. And we were talking about obstacles. And I think, a lot of those obstacles you mentioned, we can all be familiar with. I think the introvert thing is kind of interesting, the way, because I'm an extrovert. So I learned from the introvert saying, I got to take a break, right? And being okay with that, right? Because I'm sure as your business, you got a lot coming at you, but yet you have to say, and I'm actually one of those, I can feel you on the sleep thing. Like I'm definitely one, I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep regardless of what's going on in my life. But I think it's interesting too that you're able to admit to yourself and to be okay with that whole break scene, because that's hard, right? And saying I'm an introvert and I'm backing away from the people,
Yeah,
and
it has to be done.
With, what did you say, your meetup has 1,500 people?
Yeah,
so,
we have 1,500 members.
And like 1,500 friends, and you're an introvert,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
It's a great problem to have.
Yeah. And then you have another, so many in your association. So you've got a lot of friends to be, to have to say, you got to wrangle cats for your meetup and stuff, and then be an introvert at the same time. So I think, one of the next questions, we talked about obstacles. Tell us maybe, some of a good example of something that you've learned. What are some lessons learned through this that you've taken and, can implement for the future, or someone could implement if they wanted to start something like this? What are some?
That's a really great question. When I think about big lessons that I've learned, I kind of try to have a bird's eye view, right? Of all right, 7 years is a long time. What are some overarching themes?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest ones is just stay consistent. Don't quit. Don't stop. Just keep going. Even if it's teeny little steps, don't quit. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And, my meetup group didn't start with 1,500 members, right? It started with 2, right? It started with 1. It started with me. And then it just continued to grow and grow and grow because I stayed consistent. And, my reputation and my businesses, the work that I do with the women that I coach,
mm-hmm.
it gets better and better, and it gets bigger and bigger because I stay consistent and I don't give up and I don't quit. Mm-hmm. And whenever I do leave something behind, it's because it's no longer in alignment with where I'm headed, So I did quit chefing because I didn't really like it. And I did it for 5 years. And, like I said, I ended up in this like, A-list celebrity home, and all the other chefs around me were so happy to be there, and I hated it. And I was like, this is the pinnacle of what a chef does, and I don't like this. So maybe it's time for me to not do this anymore and phase this part of what I do out. But, if it's something that I'm still passionate about, that I enjoy, I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to learn, but I'm going to keep going. So that's one. And then another big lesson that I wish, really it's a very recent thing that I learned, but I wish I would have known about it 7 years ago, was I wish I would have started going to therapy a lot earlier in my journey. That was the big one. I mean, I had a very adverse childhood. I have always been into personal development. That's why I got into coaching. I've had coaches and had a lot of like healing and growth through that journey. But there is just something to be said for a professional that knows how to help you heal the way you think. And this last, when the pandemic hit, I got very depressed, and it was just a tough time for us all, right? And I started going to therapy, and boy, I was like, man, I wish I would have started doing this, right out of high school. But it really is helpful to have someone to talk to and to kind of help reflect the way that we think. And my therapist, I'm going to probably botch this quote, but she said something to the effect of, the way our lives turn out, everything that happens to us is directly affected by how we think. And that really stuck with me.
Yeah, it makes it. I tell everyone, I have told this story before. When I first moved to LA, I was in my 20s, and I don't know what I was going through, but someone said, you should, oh, there goes my light. I don't know.
I can still see you well, but
it went, whatever. Yeah, there I'm back. So they said, I don't know I can't remember what exactly I was going through. They're like, why didn't you go to therapy? And I was like, I hemmed and hawed. This is in my 20s. And then I went to the therapist, and the therapist said, well, what would you like to talk about today? I literally just cried. Like I did nothing for 50 minutes but cry and get a bill. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. And I've been in therapy ever since, like, I'm a big proponent of it. I'm a huge proponent of, just sharing and telling people, it's okay. Right. It's okay for that to be part of your journey. Like you said, but I just cried. I literally cried and got a bill. That was, I don't even know what happened. Cried and gave them my, debit card, and that was that. And then I came up together for the second one. But the first one, I just never even knew that I needed it as much as I did. And to your point, even though I was blessed to have started in my 20s, I still remember thinking, no, I don't need that. And now here I am 20 years later, still a proponent of it. So we're down to our last minute. So we might go over a little bit, folks, but we are down to our last minute. So this is, I don't know if you watched the prior ones or not. So if you did not, this is a surprise question. If you did, it's not going to be surprising. Everybody who knows me knows I have this, I'm like the crazy cat lady. So I have all these cats that I love to pieces. Well, like there's one inside and 6 outside. So that's a therapy session in itself. But curiosity killed the cat, they always say. So what are you curious about? Last question.
Boy, I'm curious about a lot of things. I'm a perpetually curious person. What I'm curious about right now is negotiating and overcoming objections. That's what I'm curious about right now. I just landed a wonderful new job, and it's a very sales focused job, and it's great because a lucrative job, but I only work 15 days a month. And then once a month, I have 10 days in a row off. So it's like pretty sweet. I get to continue to do my coaching and build my communities. But there is salesmanship involved in that. And, you know, overcoming objections and negotiating is a huge, is the most important part of the sales process. So that's what I'm really curious about right now.
Yeah, negotiating, overcoming objections. You're gonna have to come back. I'm saying to everybody, I'm doing a Where Are They Now episodes eventually in 2022. So when you come back, I want you to tell us how that went. You know?
Yeah. Yes. Research is popping off right now. So yeah, who's to say where I'll be in a year?
Oh man. I mean, you're going to have 1 million members in that group and your association is going to be blossoming. And then, you know, you're going to have a job and you're going to have overcome many objections by then. You know,
that's right.
Current role. So
yeah.
Are just a little over time. I apologize, folks. We got into a good conversation there. But this is the TERRAN Lamp Show, episode number 67. Nafrisha has been generously sharing the information. My takeaway is that even though we're women in business, we're human. I love that. And I see you're getting some hearts on it too. I love thinking that. I love that. So make sure you are joining us, ladies and gentlemen, every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for the TERRAN Lamp Show. Make sure you are liking, following, subscribing, all that stuff. We have, it's TERRAN Lamp on YouTube. It's the TERRAN Lamp Show on Apple Podcasts. Again, down at the bottom, my Cash App and my Venmo for anybody who'd like to contribute to heart disease and cancer patients paying off their bills. They will be grateful. I promise you that. I've done it in the past. And I know I did have an experience where they didn't tell me who it was, but they had an experience where someone tried to find me and just tell me thank you. But I didn't let them find me. I let the office find me, but not the patient. So I know that it goes to a good cause. And again, it's good faith on everyone's part, but I would greatly appreciate it, and so would they. We will be back next week for another episode of the TERRAN Lamp Show. We are signing off. Thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it. Women in business are human. Take care of yourself, Andy.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. See you next week.